All right, a good Wednesday to you. Thanks for tuning in. This
is
whether or not our graphics were kind of acting up, so
we had to cut the intro anyways because Jamie's in it.
Oh, that's
I'm
true.
here today. It all worked out for the reason. But we have a lot to talk about in the show. I think it's going to be a good one today. We're talking warmer weather, staying rain free. It's really been the story. Also, that fire risk really elevating as we head throughout the day today, as well as the next couple of days.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Let's start with the Warrior First Alert as we turn warmer here. And really the coolest day happening today. The good news is, as we go into the end of the week, temperatures warm up and a little bit more humidity by the time we head into the weekend.
Yeah, temperatures start to climb daily as we head throughout the rest of the work week. We're dealing, like you said, with that coolest day today. We then climb to the upper 60s, low 70s. But giving you the first alert, we head into the weekend. And the 70s, middle 70s return for the beaches, low 80s return inland, but it's another long and dry stretch. So let's take a look at that temperature trend where you can just see those temperatures climbing.
Yeah, 60s and breezy today. That's why the wildfire threat is around. Of course, we'll get up into the mid 70s. The good news with that warmth, you reduce the wind, you increase the humidity. Doesn't mean that we're going to be completely wildfire free for the weekend, but not as great of a risk as what we'll have today and even tomorrow. But 81 Saturday, 83 Sunday, weekend plans looking pretty good.
Yeah, honestly, the forecast when it comes for the weekend, probably the pick of the whole entire week when we've been dealing with those cooler temperatures. But one thing we desperately need is that rainfall, and so much rain has just not fallen. So far in 2026, we've actually only seen 4.79 inches of rainfall, which is extremely below normal, where we normally see about 10.44 inches of rain.
Yeah, most of that came in January, and we have been dry since. Even the system we had on Sunday,
it didn't
half an inch for a couple of spots. Other than that, you were lucky if you kind of got a wet ground from it. So with that, your rainfall, the rain chances don't look great. They look minuscule. I've basically thrown in a 20% chance for late next week, and even that is like throwing a dart and praying it sticks somewhere.
Yeah, I was saying yesterday night that 20%, I think Friday of next week, maybe the first chance, but it's so up in the air right now because we have so much time to go. And I think as you take a look at our 7-day forecast when it comes to rainfall, we're at 0. But even as we take a look at the next 14 days, we're right about normal to right below normal. So I think we'll start to see some activity pick up once we kind of head past that 14-day mark.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we've been stuck with high pressure across the East Coast. All the activity's been across the plains. It'll be that way when we go coast to coast here too. But because of, once again, another abnormally dry stretch, we have the statewide red flag alert. That's been a big story. Burn bans continue to come in as well. The one that we were talking about was Horry County. Sounds like Georgetown County has now been added to that. So those are going to come in to a point to where I think they'll probably be around until conditions are a little bit more favorable. And we look at, going into the end of the week and the weekend. But the fire risk is climbing very high today and tomorrow, Jenna.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that really accounts for that fire risk is the lack of rainfall. We're dealing with those moderate to severe drought conditions. But our humidity as we head throughout the day, rest of the day today, and even honestly as we head into tomorrow, today we're right below that 35%, that criteria where we're just dealing with a lot of dry air. Thankfully, when we head into the weekend, the humidity kind of climbs, which kind of helps us a little bit with that fire threat. But today also, we're dealing with the lack of humidity, but also the winds start to pick up.
Yeah, the winds will pick up today, and they're still breezy again tomorrow. A lot of people ask about that humidity. 40% or below is a good threshold, and it's not for the morning. It's usually the afternoon when you want to look at that humidity for wildfire development. But speaking of drought, I want to turn, of course, to the drought here as we talk about the wildfire risk going through. And you'll notice that threat over the next couple of days. Wednesday, Thursday, we hold on to elevated wildfire risk. And like we said, it doesn't take a backseat for Friday, but it's still there. It's just not as high.
Yeah, thankfully the humidity kind of really helping with that, but I do think that threat is still going to be around. It's something you really have to kind of be aware of. If you see or smoke, if you smell smoke, your best bet is to kind of honestly just call 911. because that's what we're looking at over the next couple of days. But yeah, the drought is the big concern over the next few days.
And it is certainly, I think, going to be one of those that we're going to remember. Let's go ahead and talk about what this means when it comes to meteorologist Matt Bullock, and check this out, because it's not just this drought that's setting the record already for the driest start to the year. We look back, though, at the top 5 droughts for our area in South Carolina. Meteorologist Matt Bullock has more.
Drought conditions continue to worsen across the Grand Strand and the PD as we're dealing with moderate to severe drought conditions. Again, severe drought conditions here along the coastlines and by the border belt. Everywhere else across the PD dealing with moderate drought conditions. You may think, is this the worst drought that we've seen in history? Not even close. And today we're going to talk about the top 5 worst droughts in history in South Carolina. Number 5 on the list was the 1985 through 1986 drought. Rainfall totals were 13 inches drier than normal. The drought caused $219.9 million in losses. The South Carolina Drought Response Act was created. Now, the Drought Response Committee, also known as the DRC, was created to determine drought status each month in every county in South Carolina. And then we talk about number 4 on the list. We had the 1998 through the 2002 drought, where we had 4 straight years of below average rainfall. 2001 was the second driest year on record in South Carolina. And that was because the lack of tropical systems were to blame with that. Also, groundwaters were greatly diminished, where coastal areas dealt with saltwater intrusions like Georgetown County. $1.3 billion in total state losses were because of that drought. Number 3 on the list was the 2007 through 2009 drought, where we had 14 inches below normal rainfall. 2007 was the 3rd driest year on record. And again, water levels were extremely low in major lakes across South Carolina. That includes Lake Marion, Lake Hartwell, and Lake Jocassee. Drought conditions also led to many wildfires, just like the 2009 Highway 31 wildfire, which ended up being the costliest wildfire in history in South Carolina, which is right here in Horry County. And you can see those drought conditions on Lake Marion back in 2007. And number 2 on the list was the 1925 through 1927 drought, where we had 14 inches below normal rainfall. Agriculture struggled. Lower water levels limited hydroelectric power, which also limited textile mill production. So 16% of all South Carolina farms were abandoned, and 250,000 South Carolinians fled the state for better opportunities. Now, number 1 of the worst drought on history is the 1950 through 1957 drought, as it was the longest drought in history of South Carolina. We had 7 straight years of below average rainfall. 1954 was the driest year on record in history of South Carolina. Not even the rainfall from Hurricane Hazel could get out of this drought. So again, even though drought conditions are pretty bad right now, but still nothing like what we've seen before. Matt Bullock, WNBF News.
7 years of drought.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
And puts into perspective what we're going through. Obviously, yes, it's bad, but it could be much worse.
Yeah.
It feels like a cycle that won't end, but I'm not going to complain after 7 years.
I know, right? And I feel like we'll start to kind of get more active, I think, as we head throughout the next couple of months, and hopefully kind of get a good soaker that just kind of cancels out that drought.
All right, let's play a game here, because this one's going to hurt. Let's go coast to coast. Let's show you where it's not going to rain first, and we will start
that game.
with our area. All the rain's down in the south. Yeah, Orlando, Daytona Beach, even West Palm Beach picking up on a couple showers. These are the daytime showers. Remember, they've been dealing with the drought and wildfire in Florida, so they'll take that rain. Welcome needed, and it is a warm one
for
down there
sure.
too.
Yeah, it's just absolutely kind of sitting in the low 80s. I think a lot of people kind of enjoying it down there. There are a lot of people having some beach days, I'm sure, but we're staying a little bit warmer. We're in the upper 70s for Alabama, and we're into the low 80s for Louisiana. For us, we're still holding on to some cooler temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s as we head into the day tomorrow, and taking you to the northeast where we're kind of holding on to a lot of sunshine, a couple of showers starting to work through Michigan. Maybe an isolated shower or two that's going to try to work into New York, but I mean, it is staying very isolated up there as we head into the day tomorrow.
These poor people cannot get a warm up to save their life. It was not only a terrible winter, but now you're talking spring temperatures in the mid 50s. For New York, they'll take it, but still, they're ready for the 70s. 72 in Pittsburgh, going to be the warmest right there. All right, here's where a lot of the action gets going. You're going to have several days of showers and a couple storms. There will actually be a couple rounds of severe weather Thursday, an area highlighted basically from Nebraska to Kansas all the way to Iowa. A couple of showers and storms. It's a level 1 severe weather risk, but when it's not raining, yeah, the heat, it's certainly around in this area too.
Yeah, and as we kind of take a look where you can kind of just see that line of the
front.
cooler air, the warm front, we're upper 70s, and we're still dealing with the 60s. So I think a lot of those places that are seeing those warmer temperatures, that's I feel like where like that higher risk for a couple of those stronger storms is going to be. Taking you down into the southwest where right now kind of dealing with plenty of sunshine, maybe a couple of isolated showers going to start to work its way into Texas. And I think as we head throughout the next couple of days, the Southwest is definitely going to be dealing with some of that severe weather, but also dealing with some of that warmth.
Yeah, already highlighted day 4 severe weather risk out there for Saturday. That would be for Texas and Oklahoma. Meanwhile, temperatures are in the 80s, and all things considered, not terrible. 91 in Tucson, though. 97 in Phoenix. No, thank you.
Yeah, no,
we'll take our 60s for sure. Let's continue this as we go out to the West Coast. And yeah, it's quiet for now, but some showers will develop across California, an area that really doesn't see a ton of rain. Going to pick up on some of that. They're also picking up on a split bag when it comes to temperatures. Look at this spread. I was looking at this when this graphic was in there. 91 for Palm Springs, 60 to Bozeman.
Yeah, but look at Bismarck, where they're still sitting at 43 degrees. So I think we're kind of complaining about our little 68-degree mark. It's too cold, but I would rather have 60s than 40s. But when we're also kind of taking a look at a bunch of different things, we're talking tropics. We're only about 54 days away from the start of Atlantic hurricane season. And Jamie, right now on assignment down in South Padre, Texas for the conference. And I mean, there's a lot that he's going to get out of that.
There is a lot. And of course, before we get to Jamie and what tomorrow brings, which of course will be the Colorado State Outlook, I think there's 2 big factors that come into play here for the hurricane season. One is a developing El Nino, which El Nino traditionally means a less active hurricane season. Doesn't mean less impactful, but less active. The caveat to that is the water temperatures.
Yeah, for sure. And it's when that El Nino starts to develop, it's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. With the warm sea surface temperatures, that really helps kind of intensify storms, where El Nino kind of deals with a lot of that wind shear, which kind of rips apart storms, we like to say. So it's definitely going to be something we're keeping a very close eye on as we head into hurricane season.
Yeah, so Boss Man put us in charge for here. He's out there in South Padre Island, I'm sure having a couple Cosmos, some cocktails, getting the forecast for the outlook. And of course, that's what we're going to be focused on for tomorrow. So we hope you join us for a special edition of whether or not we have 10 a.m. Colorado State. You and I are going to do a discussion. We'll kind of carry that discussion into here for whether or not really just dive into what we think. Keyword think.
I know, it's kind of
the
hard to
outlook
predict
could be.
the future, we always say, but it's definitely
And I think it's going to look different than what you've seen from years past.
Yeah, we're kind of taking a different approach on it just after how last year's hurricane season went. We want our kind of messaging to be as clear as possible. So we're going to do a really big deep dive tomorrow on tomorrow's episode of Whether or Not. We're also looking back to the 2011 tornado outbreak. And then some good news, what's happening this weekend, because again, we do warm up quite nicely. Yeah, the weather is beautiful. We'll warm up. We'll talk about some of the weekend events, give you that first alert to the weekend. All that tomorrow in a brand new episode. And yeah, we'll do it one more time for this week. Let's do it. Have a good day, everybody. Sounds good. Have a great one.